Truth Unveiled here, and today I have some urgent reports to go over with you and some very urgent stuff to share with you because as you can see, it's getting closer. There have been several cyber attacks and reports of cyber attacks, and we're going to share the bigger agenda and what's really going on behind all this. But here I am at GMA News, and it says, after Bank of Greece, Cyprus Central Bank also reports cyber attack. And this was back on May 6th, and it says, Athens, the website of the Central Bank of Cyprus briefly came under cyber attack days after a hacking collective said it conducted a similar attack on the Greek central bank site. The central bank's website came under some form of a denial of service attack, a spokeswoman said on Friday via email of all days. She did not say when the attack occurred, but several online news sites covering cybersecurity said it came on Thursday, just before Friday. Interesting. The bank could not be reached to verify the date. I wonder why. The attack, in quote, resulted in some delays in user connections, but generally the website could handle the anticipated number of users for the day, the spokeswoman said. Greece's central bank was attacked by the hacking group Anonymous on Tuesday, which disrupted service on its website, a Bank of Greece official said on Wednesday. Yeah, that's what they want us to believe. We know better than that. But it goes on to say it was not immediately clear whether Anonymous was behind the attack on the Cypriot Central Bank, but in a video posted on YouTube, the group said the attack on the Bank of Greece marked the start of a 30-day campaign against central banks around the world. No, we know who's doing that. We know who the real cause, because who funds Anonymous to begin with? I'll let you figure that out on your own. But why am I even talking about this is because lately you've been seeing a bunch of banking glitches and bail-ins and all these things. Bank virus here, bank virus there. What are they really getting ready for? Remember, what is the bigger agenda? What are they really getting ready for? Could this have anything to do with the EMP that is even at the door? Of course it is. It is all a test, and it is just what they're getting ready for. But I'm here at The Atlantic, and it says, after ISIS, Americans fear cyber attacks the most. Nearly 3 in 4 people consider them a major threat to the U.S. because who's funding these so-called cyber attacks, and who's funding ISIS? I'll let you figure that out, but it goes on to say, when the Pew Research Center asked 2,000 Americans last month to react to various potential international threats to the United States, because there's always a threat to the United States, even though the United States and Israel are never threats to other nations, and that's sarcasm, by the way. Their number one worry was ISIS. Okay, that's no surprise. The terrorist group is scary by design, relying on propaganda videos and ultra-violent attacks to spread fear and project power, more like the people who are funding them, aka your government. But it goes on to say Pew had asked the same question last year and the year before, and ISIS topped the list of concerns then too. But coming in second, right after the terrorist group, was the prospect of country-on-country cyber war, a digital raid to steal another government's information, for example, or a large-scale attack on a nation's electrical grid. Cyber attacks are a major threat in the minds of 72% of Americans, and a minor threat to another 22%. They beat out so-called global economic instability, infectious diseases, refugees, and so-called climate change, because we know that's a lie, for the silver medal on the roster of potential dangers. Then it goes on to talk about some of the statistics that they go on and how they blame China for so-called attacks, when we know better than that, because we know exactly what our government's getting ready for. They're spreading this fear, and they're evoking fear of, oh my gosh, a cyber attack. Oh my gosh, this nation could be doing a cyber attack against America. Oh my goodness, this nation could be doing a cyber attack. When we know where the real cyber attacks are coming from, there's no need to worry about it, because we know it's the same people who are funding ISIS, if they're even people. Now, this is a report from Reuters, and as you can see, it came out on Friday, and it says, before massive Bangladesh heist, New York Fed feared such cyber attacks. And notice how this all happened on a Friday. The X-Files should be ringing some serious alarm bells Friday, remember that. But it goes on to say, in the years before, hackers stole $81 million from a Bangladesh central bank account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Senior Fed security officials examined the risk of such an attack, but judged the prospect expect unlikely, bank sources told Reuters. Which bank sources? The Fed managers worried that lax security procedures and outdated technology at some foreign central banks could allow cyber criminals to commandeer local computers and breach foreign accounts at the U.S. Central Bank, according to interviews with 7 current and former New York Fed officials and a former U.S. government official familiar with the discussion. Over several years, New York Fed and FBI officials discussed the risk of an attack made using the banking system's communication network known as SWIFT, according to Fed and government officials who spoke on condition of anonymity. The New York Fed was concerned with lots of vulnerabilities, said the former government official. SWIFT was one of them, but what they're not telling us is why all of the uptick with these so-called banking glitches and so-called cyber attacks. Why are we seeing them uptick and uprise? What are they exactly getting us ready for, and what are they mentally conditioning our minds to get ready for? And this talks about one of the cyber heists in history of the Bangladesh bank heist, but it goes on to say, but the Fed focused security resources on other priorities such as preventing money laundering and enforcing U.S. economic sanctions. Officials with knowledge of the bank's security operations told Reuters. Fed officials took some comfort in the fact that Swift security software had never been cracked, the officials said. Now that is what they're going to keep pushing, this propaganda on security. Oh, watch out. Now there's not enough security. That's why it could happen, when they're not telling you the real agenda of the plan to stage an EMP, an electrical grid outage worldwide, if not worldwide, definitely nationwide in America, which they're going to be the ones to cause. They're not telling you that. I wonder why that is. What is the bigger agenda? The New World Order, martial law, civil unrest. But it goes on to say the immediate result of the breach for the New York Fed is a claim for the Bangladesh bank for payment of lost funds in a potential lawsuit. Beyond that, the heist showed that the U.S. Central Bank long understood a potentially systematic risk to a vital so-called global finance network, but was unable or unwilling to address it. And they keep saying that, oh, it's potential, it's a potential risk, it's a potential threat, because there's always a threat. Then it goes on to talk about SWIFT and what they try to do with Bangladesh as well. But is that all? Oh no, there is always more. Now, this is from the Daily Mail, and it says 2/3 of big businesses have suffered cyber attack in last year. And this was reported yesterday, actually. And it says 2/3 of large British businesses have experienced a cyber attack or breach in the last 12 months, research has revealed. What research? Because they're not really telling us everything, are they? How do we know they're not making it up? Let's keep going. Findings from the Cybersecurity Breaches Survey undertaken by Ipsos Mori for the government show a quarter of large firms experiencing a cyber breach did so at least once a month. Results from the survey have been released alongside the government cyber governance health check, which was launched following the TalkTalk cyber attack in October of last year. In light of these findings, businesses are now being urged to better protect themselves. And that's another agenda that they're going to be pushing is, oh, protect yourself, oh, protect yourself. There could be more cyber attacks coming your way, when we know better than that. And we know exactly what they're getting ready for and preparing for. Remember, before they actually do the real thing, before they actually stage the real thing, what do they have to do? They have to test it first before it happens and before they bring it to America along with everything else. That's why you've been seeing all these so-called banking glitches with banks, and that's why you've been seeing all these bail-ins, because they're getting ready to turn off and shut off the banks and shut off the credit cards in order to get ready to enforce the new world one world currency, which is probably going to be through the RFID chip. And I hope you're seeing that with both your eyes open. Now, this is a report from NBC New York, and it says experts urge password changes after massive cyber attack. And this was reported on Cinco de Mayo, or May 5th. And it says the hack affected providers such as Google, Yahoo, Hotmail, and Microsoft. And it says cybersecurity professionals are warning anyone with a personal email account to change their passwords after stolen usernames and passwords were being offered up for sale on the internet, NBC News reported. Some 272.3 million accounts were stolen and involved some of the biggest email providers, including Google, Yahoo, Hotmail, and Microsoft, according to Alex Holden of Hold Security. And then they go on to say that some of the passwords and usernames were being sold on the dark web, and experts would say that you should change it regularly. But what are they really getting ready for? Could all of this be propaganda getting us ready for the big EMP that's about to strike, that's about to be planned and staged ahead of time by your government and by the Jewish Zionists? You bet you, and it's time to wake up and see the big agenda for what it really is. Please seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha, because as you can see, the mental psyop is only increasing. It's only going to get worse from here. But this is Truth Not Veiled. Shalom.